Hej och välkomna till Investor Update. Idag med Hillcrest Energy Technology. Investor Update produceras av Investor Studios och är ett samarbete mellan Investor Studios, Investor Target IR och Kapital, Stockpicker och presenterande bolag. Idag då med Hillcrest Energy Technology. Ni som tittar live kan som vanligt interagera med oss och framförallt management. Och det gör ni genom att skriva era frågor i toppchatten. Vi kommer att hantera frågorna i slutet av presentationen. Då dagens bolag är hemmahörande i Kanada så kommer sändningen nu att fortsätta på engelska. Hello and welcome to Investor Update. Today we have the great pleasure to introduce Hillcrest Energy Technology, presented by its founder and the CEO, Don Currie. Hillcrest is a clean tech company that provides power conversion technologies and digital control system for the next generation's powertrains and grid-connected renewable energy system. A red-hot sector, and here to tell us how and more would be Don Currie. Hello, Don. How are things in Vancouver?
Things are very well, and thank you very much for having us.
It's a great pleasure. Please, take it away.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. As I said, we're Hillcrest Energy Technologies, and very, very, very excited about what we're about to show you. Our forward-looking statement, part of the program. Our investment highlights are substantial. We're the first to market with a revolutionary inverter technology platform. It's a unique combination of hardware and firmware. Now, inverter technology, and I'll get into what an inverter is in a minute, is there's an established hard switching technology out there that has negative trade-offs, but it's the only thing that exists for the market until now. Our technology is adaptable across numerous fast-growing market segments. So it's in the EV, it's in the wind, it's in the solar, it's in the energy storage. It's used anywhere where there is a electrical system. Speed to market, we have asset-light business model. We own 100% of the IP that's created through our efforts, and we have the ability to scale revenue quickly once a potential OEM or contract is signed. Some of the highlights that I'll be going over is that in the automotive sector, EVs, it's very, very expensive to build these cars, and we're showing that through our benefits that there's approximately $2,200 US dollars savings per vehicle. This is a massive amount for the OEMs that we're dealing with. We have 99.7 inverter efficiency, 99.7%, I should say, inverter efficiency, which is the highest that we're aware of. Now, our soft switching technology, it's zero voltage switching as we calls it, it has the highest switching frequencies, but it eliminates switching losses, which is adds to better thermal control. And the switching losses are a cost effect that the old hard switching technology has. Well, by eliminating that, we have much, much better system availability. On the grid-related side, in solar power generation revenues, adding our technology to a 250 kilowatt solar farm is estimated to increase revenues by as much as $13.2 million over the life of that farm and about $16.4 million on a solar farm over that time. So again, there's a financial benefit using our technology. We have 100 years of combined automotive sector experience in the company, about 50 years of combined grid connect power system, more than 125 years of power electronics and power control experience. What is an inverter? People ask this all the time. An inverter, when you look at a solar farm, for instance, the solar panel is direct current, so DC, and the grid takes alternating current, which is AC. The power has to be converted from DC to AC, so it comes off the panel to the grid. It has to be converted. That's what we do. That's what an inverter does. In a car, the battery is direct current. The engine is alternating current, and it has to be converted again. It has to be converted into the alternating current to run the motor. So it's basically the heartbeat of any electrical system. And ours is like I say, transformational, soft switching, zero voltage switching. On the right hand side of the screen, you'll see all the different types that our technology will work with. This particular industry is growing at about just under 19% per year. It's 209 billion is estimated to be the size of the industry by 2032. That recently we had it at 118 billion by 2029. So you can see that it's just growing incredibly fast. While I said that we have a 99.7% efficient inverter, which is the highest that there is there, what does it do to the overall system? Does it have benefits to the overall system? And this is where it comes down to the zero voltage switching, the loss or the elimination of the switching losses. We estimate now that you can reduce the size of a battery pack in a car by as much as 15%. It has expanded charging capabilities. We do believe our technology will allow for the elimination of the onboard charger. But the interesting part is we have 6 companies talking to us right now to improve their onboard charger. So while we could eliminate it, they want to be able to discuss and have us show them that the ZVS, zero voltage switching technology, works in their onboard charger. Traction motors, we're demonstrating efficiency gains by as much as 13% in some of the motors. Now that's interesting because every 1% of efficiency in a motor is estimated to add 2% in range. So there's a consumer benefit to that. So this is again a big thing. And last but not least, well, not last, but the EMI shielding, electrical magnetic interference shielding. In a lot of the cars, they put shielding around the cables that are around the inverters. They put boxes around the batteries to protect against this EMI. It's almost like a radiation of the static that goes through the system, and that causes problems. We have now demonstrated, a European OEM took us to a certified lab in Germany. They tested the equipment, and our EMI was low enough that it did not require, the OEM would not require shielding around the cables around the battery box. Again, a cost savings for them and a benefit for us. This is just another slide that we're showing up to $1,800 savings in battery costs, 150-pound reduction in battery weight. Now, again, you can only think that adds to range. The EV makers, they're really liking that. When you take a combined 1,800 plus the other things, we're estimating $2,200 per vehicle on a 100,000 vehicle model run per year. That's $220 million savings for the automotive maker. Now, this again is very, very key, because if you take the old hard switching inverter that maybe costs about $1,500, and then they have to put the shielding on, they have to put the cables on, around the shielding, so on, or you take ours, which is about $1,500, and you don't have to pay for those things. One you pay to protect, one you save. So a $220 million savings on a 100,000 vehicle model run is a substantial savings. Again, I mentioned that our technology is not just for traction, not just for EV. It goes into the grid-tied inverter sectors. Next capabilities, we have the highest efficiency inverter, 99.7%. There's cost reductions for capital costs. So 45% smaller line filters, up to 60% reduction in DC link capacitors. You see in the middle there, reduced EMI, as we talked about, improved power quality and harmonics. Again, no switching losses. This is a key. And then what is really important to everybody is improved reliability and extended lifespan. I mentioned this earlier, that we have on the grid side, we had talked to a government utility here, a power utility in Canada, and we asked them if we could show at least 0.5% increase in efficiency, would that be something that would interest them? They told us not only would it interest them, that would be transformational. We are now working with their wholly owned testing facility, Power Labs Inc., PowerTech Labs in Vancouver, to be able to get a third-party validation on our technology, and we're showing approximately about a 2% increase in inverter efficiency. This is massive. So if you have these solar farms that are a 250 megawatt solar farm, and we can get a 2% increase in efficiency, costs are cheaper to build it, but $13.2 million of extra revenue over the time of the field is quite substantial. As I mentioned earlier, it's about $16.4 million on a wind farm. We have a number of commercial activities that we're talking to at this point in time. We're a smaller company. We're aligned with a group out of Germany. The majority of our advanced discussions are in Germany and in Norway. And the EV is definitely more advanced because we've been able to demonstrate. We have a commercial prototype, and we're very proud how fast this has happened. We went from an idea to a proof of concept to a commercial prototype and commercial discussions in 3.5 short years. This is very, very fast considering what the industry is like. So our advanced discussions are more European based, and one in Norway, which I'll get into right away. Sample of current automotive commercial priorities. We're validating with OEMs and tier 1 suppliers the advanced demonstrations. By the way, we've never done a demonstration where talks haven't continued. We've never done a demonstration where someone has come to us and said we're not interested. They've actually gone to the next step. joint development in progress. Multiple high-value joint development opportunities are in the advanced stages of negotiations. The zero voltage switching technology integration, we're talking about putting it into a road-ready EV, and we have several promising commercial opportunities on the horizon. Our company, being the size that we are and what we have the ability to professionally manage 2 to 3 of these potential contracts. They're large contracts. Now, of course, as we grow, we can take on more, but we're trying to get those 2 or 3 in, and the ones that we're talking to are what we would consider to be household names, people that everyone would recognize when you talk about European automotive and so on and so forth. So we're going for scope and size, not just a small startup. PFC for onboard chargers, a power factor corrector, as I mentioned to you before, there is a massive, large industry where people are looking to improve the onboard charger. And we have 6 different companies that have come to us. We're in advanced discussions with a couple of them. We're engaged with potential customers. Upcoming development initiatives, we're now demonstrating and showing the results to them. And we like this because it's focused on quick market entry to support near-term cash flow. It accelerates any contract that would accelerate near-term cash flows. The Norwegian company I talked about, Ocean Batteries, they're a marine-based electrification. They're electrifying ports, is energy storage. So the ships would come in, they can take energy or they can give energy back. We have a partnership with them. They're a technological leader. So what they understand, the zero voltage switching, they understand that what it would do to their next generation energy storage system facility that they would be putting in there. And again, it's a path to securing contracts and advanced commercialization. Our technology would be part of their system. And this is very important for us because over the next 10 to 12 months, it'll be demonstrated, proved, and then it goes to certification. So it advances everything we want from within the company by working with an established group like Ocean Batteries. We design and demonstrate the 300 kilovolt zero voltage switching inverter prototypes, as I mentioned, integrate into their Grid Connect energy storage system, deploy into ESS, and supply secure commercial supply agreements. Very, very key, because once that's done, it opens the door for others to come along. We have a very strong core technical team. Ari Berger is our control system. He's the software provider. The one that we brought in as our CTO, Chief Technical Officer, in April of 21. Harold Hengstenberger was brought into the company. He's our collaborative partner out of Germany. Harold's company, Systematic, has been building inverter technology for the German automotive sector for 20 years. Now, he only does hardware. He is hardware specific, doesn't do the software. By working together, we've been able to break the code. Now, zero voltage switching is something the industry's tried to perfect for over 20 years and haven't done it. I can't say why they haven't done it. I can only say we've cracked the code and we're able to demonstrate a product, put a product on a bench and let people test it. Dr. Jalal Amini, a power electronics engineer, mostly on the grid side, and James Hammond, he's on the EV side as well, soft switching, and was a founder of another company that claimed that they had soft switching, but they can't produce a commercial prototype for demonstration. We've built the company quickly in a couple of ways. Is that I'm a big believer in that when you look at our company, you have to believe we can pull off what we say we're going to do. And the way to do that is open some big doors. So people like Dan Coker. Dan Coker is a strategic advisor. He has built 2 $1 billion companies in the automotive component sector. His first invention was the internal tire pressure gauge. So every time your tire starts to go down and that sign shows up on your dashboard, that's Dan. He built that to over $1 billion company. He then went on to Gentherm, which is he built to 1.3 billion, and he was first to mass produce heating and cooling in car seats, glove boxes, so on and so forth. And he did a lot of work all over the world. He has manufacturing experience, so on and so forth. Dan has been very instrumental in being involved with us. Dr. Burkhoff. Dr. Burkhoff was senior manager of Daimler Chrysler. He was also a founding member of the EV team in Mercedes. So Dr. Burkhoff has been instrumental in working with us, watching what we're doing, and when he became comfortable, going and talking to some of his contacts and opening some doors. I believe it's better to have the advisors believe who have experience, so they have experience, success, and networks. I believe to bring people like that in, it's easier for Dr. Burkhoff to call a German automaker than it is Don Currie from Vancouver and trying to open up the doors. He's been able to do that. and Dan Matheson. Dan Matheson is very well known in the Canadian utility sector. He's based in Ontario, was a mayor of one city for 5 terms. He's on various boards and has introduced us and opened up doors for us on the utility sector in far as looking for partnerships and testing our technology. We're a Canadian listed stock. Main stock is on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol HEAT, H-E-A-T, on the OTCQB, HLRTTF, and we're listed in Frankfurt, 7HI. We're quite pleased. We're listed everywhere where we can do it. 102 million shares outstanding. About 11% is insider ownership. You can see family offices, a German advisor, and close business associates represent approximately 33%. So while we're a retail-based company, we have some very good shareholders, some loyal shareholders that hold blocks within the company. Fully diluted, we have 146 million, and we have about a $23 million market cap at this point in time, which my thoughts are we are coming up to a very robust, a very aggressive news campaign coming up as that we expect. And I think that any sort of positive news will go a long way towards improving the market cap in our company. Our summary, very, very key. 100% of the IP is owned by Hillcrest. Anything we develop with Systematic, our German partner, we own 100% of the IP. The 99.7 peak inverter efficiency is very, very key. The higher the efficiency, the lower the thermal problems are. The higher we have, as I said, higher switching frequencies, eliminate switching losses, which is the key. No one else can really say that they do that we're aware of. The additional revenue generated using our technology in solar, as I mentioned, about 13.2. But as we're in advanced stages in EV, look at this $2,200 per savings per vehicle. Very, very key. Automotive companies will cancel contracts for nickels, and we're coming in with literally a couple of $1,000s worth of savings per vehicle, and that's key for them. We say 7 co-development projects with EV and grid-connected power systems are underway. I would say those are the advanced discussions. We have well over 20 discussions that are going on right now, and our objective is to get near-term revenue contracts signed, but we also want to sign them with the companies that are well-known global names and indicate scope to the investor. We're open to questions. I hope that the presentation wasn't too quick. If you want to get in touch with Hillcrest Energy Technologies, all your questions come directly to me. One of the things where I pride myself in this company is that I'm able to answer and dialogue with the investors. So if you have any questions, I'm looking forward to taking them now, and I'm looking forward to answer any that you might have by email. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Don. Extremely interesting, and as I said in the beginning, to me it seems like this is a red-hot sector. Can I just start up by exposing my ignorance here? Because you refer to, well, at least 3 different sectors: marine, auto, and grid. Would it be synergies here, or do you need to pursue 3 different paths? Basically, what I'm looking for here is the scalability, and if there is any, major divergence of your path to growth.
No, by the way, that's a very good question. The technology itself goes across the sector, so the technology fits within the formulas or the systems that currently exist there. On the EV, they use power modules inside the inverter. On the grid side, when you take any of them, if you take marine, or you take wind, or you take solar, they use line filters outside of the inverter. So the really difference is there's a couple of components difference, but the technology itself is seamlessly there. Now, every single sector wants better efficiency. Better efficiency means cheaper costs for the construction and more revenues, but more importantly, it's cheaper for the consumer in the end. So they're all looking for it. One last thing I'll say about that is, while we're more advanced in the EV discussions based on the advisors that I showed you, long term, it's probable that the revenues that would be available or generated on the grid, and the grid includes energy storage, wind, solar, marine, so on and so forth. Any one of those, that will most likely be much, much larger than what the EV is, but we're more advanced in EV at this time.
Thank you for that. And just out of memory, I think that when you look at the, let's say, the grid infrastructure, that has been a long-lasting problem, at least in Europe, but I think that would be true for the US as well. So there must be a pent-up demand for anything that can increase the efficiency. Can I just ask you about the inverter efficiency? And you mentioned 99.7%. How can I compare that to the norm or the average?
I think if you went and looked and really dove deep, you might find that 98% would be the highest. I think you'd probably find about 94 would be the average range in the grid. So while 1% may not sound 1 to 2% may not sound like a lot. It is a lot because again, the higher efficiency means less thermal problem. But more important, you have to take that efficiency and see what it does to the overall system, and that's where I explained that you need less battery, maybe no onboard charger. You don't have to put shielding around the cable, so on and so forth. So we're the highest efficiency that can be found that we're aware of. And that what does it do across the system? So, but the average, you're at 94 to 96% would be the average that you'd find.
So basically, you're comfortably above the average. If we look at the inverter market, so to speak here, who would be your main competitor? Who do you meet in the door when you are marketing yourselves?
Great question, and here's an answer that I'll give to you. Because there's no one else that has soft switching, we don't have a competitor with the technology. We look at any of the inverter companies, and there's many of them, Borg, Warner, Bosch, Magna, so on and so forth. We look at them maybe not as much as competitors, as potential partners. And when you hear us say tier one suppliers, there are a number of global tier one suppliers, we call them in press releases, and we've said it, that we're in discussions now because they would like to have the technology as part of their sales program, as part of their product program is a better way of saying it. So it's demonstrating, showing, and then seeing if we can't get into it. But as far as a competitor, there is no one in the world that has developed to a commercial prototype zero voltage switching. We're the only ones that have it.
And if we look here at the scope of size, you mentioned that. What would be the bottleneck? Let's say if the let's say the market opens up, and I get the feeling that you have long discussions that have been going on, and we could probably see some news. But are there any bottlenecks, and would you need partners, the competitors that would be your partners?
Are you talking from the market perspective?
Yes.
I think if you're asking.
Yeah, let's say you will sign a contract and you are to deliver. I would expect that there will be a volume ramp up. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, we are ready for it. We've had to demonstrate that we have the ability to manufacture our own product and be able to supply it over the time. In the EV sector, it is likely that we won't have to manufacture a full inverter that will implement our technology into their current inverter, right? So there are synergies between us. It is likely within the next very short while, and I say very short while being in a month or two, that we're announcing agreements that are part of that development, part of who would be involved in developing the full inverter with us for the potential customer. So the potential customer being the OEM, they're going to have a subsidiary, or they're going to have a preferred inverter supplier that they'll want us to work with, so on and so forth. And those discussions are on. On the grid side, it's just ramping up to whatever they need. The grid side, the volumes of actual product is less, but the margins are much higher. So margins are based on what is the volume. Is it 100,000 per customer per year, or is it 30,000 per customer per year? And those numbers change greatly.
Interesting. So if I just recap here, you have a solution that will make energy switching, if I express myself a little bit sloppy here, in a much more sufficient way, with three major industries that are more or less shouting for this, and you have long-term you have a long-term, let's say, a process here and are close to, publicize something to the market, which makes this very interesting. And you mentioned then 100 years of automotive, respectively 50 years of grid experience. How do you keep that experience? How do you keep the key staff?
And again, a very good question. We're a small company, and cash is always tight. So what we do is we have very large incentive for the people like Dr. Burkhoff and Dan Coker and Dan Matheson. They're compensated upon success of an agreement. So they open doors, they're involved in negotiations with us, whoever they introduce us to, and upon an agreement being signed, they're compensated in equity. So they're on a success basis. Within the company, we have what we call below industry standard wages, but very generous equity bonuses. So we're working for the market. We're working to be able to get the market value up, which is really our reward through success. So we have the technology. We went from an idea to a commercial prototype, as I said, and now we're in commercial discussions. We are on the precipice. Any commercial contract that we sign right now, we believe will have a very positive effect on our market, and there's where the reward comes. All right. So, and one other thing I'll add to that, when you talk about EV, the EV they're motivated by sales. They're motivated by what is the market. They can go fast, they can go slow. On the grid side, they cannot do that. They have to move as quick as possible. They have to move because they need to provide the power and the generation for the industries or for the cities we live in, the countries we live in, so on and so forth. So they're not slowed down by market share. They're very aggressive in how they want to see things happen. But anyway, our staff is motivated by equity bonuses, and then our advisors, very generous equity, industry standard equity bonuses upon contracts being signed.
So there's a lot of skin in the game for the key personnel, which obviously grants. That's a good path to success. I'll take it.
Yes, thank you.
So a year from now here, what would you expect? Being conscious about disclaimers and registration to stock markets and so on and so forth. But as much as you could elaborate, a year from now, would you expect one or two contracts in the automotive industry and the same for the marine and the grid? And connected to that question, how long does it take from initial discussion to a contract, in your opinion?
Well, we're living that now. So on the EV side, I would have told you that it might have taken 6 to 9 months. Well, it's taken longer than that. So we started discussions with the most advanced European OEM, the one that's most advanced discussions. We started discussions with them about a year and a half ago. We are right now believing that is coming close. What does close mean? 6 months ago, I'd have told you then. But we now know where that's going. There are a couple other EV companies that are paralleling that. So our real objective now is to commercialize this technology. So is that a month, 2 or 3? It's imminent is what we believe. On the marine side and on the grid side, we already have ocean batteries. We're testing that technology. On the onboard charging side, I think that would match the EV side. That's moving very, very quickly. So in a year from now, our objective, our goal would be to have these contracts signed and in the application stage. So signed, moving forward, knowing exactly when the major revenues are going to start. These come with costs and that sort of thing that the companies will pay. So a year from now, I think we're a company that's not talking about commercialization. We're in commercial status.
Interesting. It seems like there will be a lot of news coming out of Hillcrest Energy Technology. And I believe that we will have the pleasure of seeing you here in Stockholm in the flesh, as it were. So with that, Don, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you once again for this opportunity. We are looking forward to being there the latter part of November. And hopefully between now and the latter part of November, there's some news that we can talk about and we've advanced the company.
And in the meantime, as you mentioned, We will direct any questions directly to you, and it's your email and your web page, I take it.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much once again.
Well, thank you, and best of luck, and see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Carl.